Welcome into your tiny reading for the week. I am T from Tiny Divinations, here to break down the cards with you. So, as usual, we have three different piles. Pick the pile or piles that you are drawn to, and I will see you in your reading. Welcome in pile one. Let's get into your cards. So, the first cards that we have are the energy for your week. We have the Nine of Coins, and the clarifier is the Ten of Swords. So it seems to me that the energy for your week feels really good. You have the background, which is like either the sun coming up with okay, let's do that again. I don't want to do 45 fucking takes, dog. I don't. Welcome in pile one. Let's get into your reading. So the cards you have for the energy of your week, the Nine of Coins, and the clarifier is the Ten of Swords. So the energy of your week seems like it'll definitely be successful. You have the sun in the background of this card. You have all of this growth with all of the watermelons. You have the pentacles on the watermelon, which is a sign of also protection because it's a pentagram. And so it feels like there's success this week. It feels like for people in pile one, you probably have overcome some kind of issue, or you went through a long hard road to get to comfort, or you like survived disaster in a way. And it feels like now you either have the things you need, or you feel more comfortable, or you're starting to see that you'll have the things that you need to be more comfortable. You're starting to see the rewards from your work. You're starting to see the turn from the journey or the work that you had to put in to get to the success that you'll see this week, or you'll feel this week in some form, or the comfort that you're feeling or you'll see this week. There's a lot of growth in this card. You have all of this growth in these trees. And well, I should say, I think these are vines from the watermelon. But then you have like the trees around it. You have the water around it, which suggests to me that there's more to come with all of the growth and the water. And so it feels like you feel good this week. You're standing in your shit, you're standing in what you've done, you're standing in what you have. The Ten of Swords as the clarifier to the Nine of Wands, excuse me, the Nine of Coins, also suggests to me that there, like I said, there are people that went through long journeys, but there's also this aspect of like either getting your lick back this week, or seeing some kind of revenge in a sense. I don't necessarily want to say revenge. I think revenge is like maybe a harsh word, but like you may have had someone do you wrong in a way, or not believe you in a sense, or try to do some nefarious shit to like take something that you have, or take credit for something that you have, or um, push you out of the running or something like that. And it feels like part of why you also feel this success or this happiness or this like a reward this week is because it's almost like you get it back, or that you get people get to see what you see, or you get to do something about the person that did something to you, or like there's some kind of like lick back. There's this energy of lick back. I don't know, we'll see how that plays out this week. Y'all let me know. But anyway, this is what I'm getting from these cards. Let's pull some charms to get a little bit more of the energy of your week. Okay, so we have the charm bowl. I'm going to shake it a little bit. Y'all know it gets a little loud. And then we're going to pull some charms for this week. Okay, I'm looking away. I put my hand in. I mix a little more. Okay. So we have the troll, a bat, a cat, a mushroom, a music note, the strength card, a four-leaf clover, a fairy, and a mirror. So, starting with the clover, like I said, I feel like this is a lucky week for you. I feel like this week will be successful. I feel like you'll see things reflected back to you. I feel like, excuse me, when you see yourself in the mirror, you'll feel confident this week. This may also be that you want to add in some confidence this week to boost it even more. You may want to add in some affirmations if it's in your practice to do glamour magic. You may want to do that. You may want to like write down some affirmations and put them around in your house, in your office, in your car. If you are somebody who listens to like certain music that builds you up, you might want to build that playlist because we have this music note here. So I feel like music is going to play a definite part in your week. But like that's how the mirror and the four leaf clover come into play, especially because the mirror is near the fairy. It just feels like there's this energy of wanting to add in playful energy, wanting to build yourself up, wanting to kind of and not even just wanting to, but like some people are just kind of like floating around, floating on good energy. You know what I mean? Like you're feeling good, you're feeling yourself. You're kind of like just like flitting around life, like flitting around wherever you are. You may be attracting more energy because of that, or more people because of that. That may also be part of your like affecting your looks this week in terms of like you may be dressing up more this week, you may be more conscious about your hair or your makeup or your what you're wearing more than you normally are, or you just may want to wear things that make you feel confident or make you feel how you look, or something like that. Then like I said, we had the music note, and I want to come here because we just talked about music. I feel like music plays a big part in this week for you, not only building in terms of confidence and strength and like who you can be, but I feel like there's also a part of it that is about like bringing you back or bringing you to comfort. For example, when I first started doing this, I went to go read and I started feeling like I went to do this pile, I should say, and I started feeling a little weird. So I went to go put on some music, and I started to put on a new album that I hadn't heard before, and I wasn't doing, I don't know what I needed it to do. So then I went and put on an old NERD album, and it just like brought me exactly to the energy that I needed to be in. So music this week may need to, what may play a role in like bringing you to the energies that you need to feel or you want to feel. It may be about bringing in music that's nostalgic, that brings in certain feelings or, certain emotions. It also feels like some people are like getting back into habits, you're getting back into working out and stuff like that. And so, like, if you're trying to do that or if you're doing that, add the playlist, to like help motivate you while you're doing it, to help keep you in the space of what you're doing, to help you not kind of think about it while you're doing it. That's also a thing I feel like that comes up with this. So those are the things that come up with the music note. Like I said, with the fairy, I feel like the mushroom is very similar. There's this need to bring an openness to this week. It's like I thought of doing mushrooms, but like I'm not suggesting that anybody do mushrooms. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But it made me think of that and how you're just kind of in a space of in between, in a space of flow, in a space of being open and receptive to things. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's more of the energy that comes with that than, eating the chocolates, unless that was something you were already thinking of doing. But I am not promoting that. Okay, YouTube. All right. Anyway, then we have this cat, the bat, and then the troll. And my first thought with the troll, and I don't always think this, was Under the Bridge. And I thought of the bat, and there are, multiple bats in caves, but they're, in a sense, there's like this isolation with bats. And then I thought of the cat, and it just made me think of there being like this loner energy a little bit this week. You may be wanting to like, or wanting or needing to be by yourself. At times it may be this energy of you like putting you up on a pedestal away from other people too, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but like thinking of yourself as separate from some group or from a pair, recognizing like who you are and like how you're different or what you bring, and like boosting yourself in a way, you know what I mean? But there was like this separate or like loner energy in these, and I feel like it's not a bad thing. It feels like that's either part of just how you're feeling, and there's no isolation in it, or there's part of it that's what you need, or like I said, there's part of it that is like you recognizing where you are ahead of the pack or where you're different or something to that effect. Okay. And then we have the strength card, and the strength card is about strength, but it's more so about, to me in this case, it's about being able to finesse your week. It's about being able to continue whatever you've been doing that got you to this feeling of comfort and success, and like things are going your way, and continuing to move in that way, and not move in like brute strength or move in just action, just doing shit, but actually being able to see what you're working with and what's the best course of action, and moving, in kind. You're not going to just take a lion and, come at it if you need to do something with it or for it or some shit like that. A lion will eat you, you know what I mean? So you have to like befriend the lion, or bring meats to distract the lion, or whatever, you know what I mean? There's ways in which you have to like move and finesse within that strength. And I feel like that's part of the energy that you are embodying this week, and that you need to also bring within you this week, which is why we talked about all the other things that come up with the charm. So this is what I'm getting for you, pile one, in terms of your energy. Let's switch into some specific things that you may be dealing with this week. Getting into some specific things that we may be dealing with this week, we are using the numerology guidance cards. And for the energy, I used the Tarot of the Divine for anyone interested in the decks. Okay. We have nature and time out. Oh. And then synchronicity. All right. So we have nature, timeout, synchronicity, and change. And then I'm going to use one more deck, see if there's anything we should watch out for this week. Oh, well, that's a good card. I don't feel like we need to watch out for that. So I'm going to say no. Oh, wait. The bottom is tinfoil hat, though. So, all right, we'll go there. Starting with nature, I should have thought of nature with the fairy, of course, with the fairy charm, the energy of nature, elementals, duh. But you have the nature card in terms of specific things. So if it's available to you to get outside, get outside. If not, then incorporate nature in some way, whether that's with your plants, whether that's with your pet, and your animal, because animals are part of nature, whether that's watching something nature based, whether that's just going out, well, I shouldn't say going out, but like opening your window and like sitting in your window for a little bit. There's a part of it that you need to bring in this week, that like, especially for a lot of us that have been like dealing with the well, you know what, starting with nature, specifically dealing with nature this week, I think a lot of us have been dealing with nature this week, right? Whether you have had the ice or the snow or the both of them. If you are not in, the United States, or you're not watching this as of when I am recording this, you may also still be dealing with some kind of weather event, because these are timeless readings. And so, like, very specifically right now, we are dealing with one. So, wherever you are or whenever you're watching this, you may be dealing with one, right? And based on how it's been right now, it's annoying. It's something that you definitely need to take care of earlier than later, right? But it's also on the flip side of that, it feels like part of it is that we needed to be outside more. We needed to be disconnected. We needed to be off of our computers and our phones, and also having the time out. Okay, because and as of when I'm recording this, things are shut down, so people can't necessarily go to work. You can't drive around. You can't do shit, right? And so there's this need this week, whenever you're watching this in your week, for you to take a time out, for you to take some space to breathe, to be in nature, to be with the elements in a way that's like very introspective and like meditative, if it's available to you, outside of the ways in which it's affecting us, okay, or may be affecting you. Um, you then have time out. And like I said, there's a need for us to take a break. There are people that are not used to taking a break or putting in that time or even thinking about um, you know time to themselves or time outside of what they do, but it's necessary. This week, as of when you are watching it, it is necessary for you to either step back from something that you're doing, or for you to put in time to just be with yourself, to just be with your thoughts, to just do absolutely fucking nothing, to not have to take care of anyone, to not have to look after anything. Whenever that you can schedule that, it's important for you to be able to add that in this week. Okay, that's very specific. You need time out. You may be given time out this week, and if not, then you need to make sure you add it in to your week. Okay. You then have synchronicities. And like I said to you before, there is flow and success in your week. It is very much there. So you will see things just line up. You will see things just work out for you. You'll see things that you don't have to work hard on for them to like happen or for them to come together. So pay attention to that, lean into that, lean into this as I'm telling you that. Go for the things that may have been a little bit harder, or that you may have had trouble doing, or finding things or information about. You know what I mean? This is a good week to try again, right? It's just things are just lining up for you. It feels like, and so definitely lean into that energy for in whatever way that that means for you. Okay. You then have the change card at the end, and you may be experiencing some change this week. I wanted to pull a clarifier and see what exactly might be changing or what the change was talking about. Okay. So you have the Ace of Wands. So it may be changing what you do. It may be changing what you do or how you do it. It may be changing in terms of something creative, like changing direction on something creative, or having the idea to do something and or add something to it or do something differently with it. You have a pen or a quill here, so the change may be in you starting to write, or you starting to express yourself more, or you wanting to create more, express yourself more, and figuring out ways to do that. Um, the change may be something exciting, or it could be like a growth opportunity because you have the roses and the plants up here. So it could be something related to the success you have this week. It could be something related to a growth opportunity that you have, or a creative opportunity that you have, or something that's just exciting, something you've been wanting to do, or something that you didn't think that you could do, or it was available to you, and it's like being offered this week. So I feel like that's how the change comes in. This is what I'm getting in terms of what specifically may happen. We then also I had asked what you should watch out for, right? And so I have the Star Seed card, and I thought, okay, well, maybe there's nothing because this is a relatively good card. And then we have the tinfoil hat on the bottom. So what I think needs to be watched out for. Okay. Don't believe everything that you see, right? We have a tendency in this day to sometimes not fact check. And it feels like, number one, you are open, you see things, you know things, you are definitely tapped in, right? But sometimes we could, like, you know, tip the scales a little bit far on the things that we are intaking or believing. Sometimes we watch one thing and then it leads to another person, another person. It's not until you're like 12 videos deep that you realize, like, oh, this person is a little, I don't know if I agree with all this. Or you start to have your mind changed on things that you may have already known aren't what these people are saying. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Also, there's tons of AI. We have to watch out for the AI. It's everywhere. Okay. So just be mindful of what you see and what you believe. Always question everything. Take shit to your guides. Take shit to your altars. Take shit to divination. Um, take shit to other people. Take it to what's that shit that checks AI? I think it's Gemini. There's an app that you can put any video, any picture into, and it'll tell you if it's AI or not. I will try to find that and put that in the description. Okay. But like, just be mindful, Starseed. Okay. All right. Let's close your reading with some words of wisdom. So, your words of wisdom for this week are from the Chakra Wisdom Oracle, which was the first card that you chose on top of your pile. Fifth chakra, throat chakra, truthfulness. I am truthful and honest with myself. I aim to overcome any fears about speaking my truth, and I speak in a loving, considerate way. My personal empowerment comes from telling the truth and letting others know who I am. Others will be positively uplifted when they hear my truth, and I take care not to exaggerate in order to impress them. I am careful not to let my mind mislead me, and, in turn, others. I avoid gossiping or speaking negatively of others. All right, y'all. That is your words of wisdom for this week, and that is your reading. Thank you so much for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. If you would like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you haven't already, listen to the January collective reading on Substack, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify. February is coming in a few days. If you are already, subscribed to the YouTube channel and follow me at Tiny Divinations on TikTok and on Instagram. And again, thank you so much for reading with me. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome into your pile 2. Let's get into your cards for this week. So, starting with the energy for your week, the first card you have is the King of Coins reverse, and the clarifier card you have is the Ten of Wands. Okay, so it feels like there may be a little bit of instability for you this week, or you may feel a little bit unstable in certain aspects of things this week. It feels like you may feel like you've lost your footing, or you may have some issues in terms of your finances this week, or you may be worried about your stability, your finances, your overall well being. You know, thinking about how you're not set up financially or how you're not where you want to be for your long term growth in either life or some aspect of life. It feels like with the Ten of Wands, it feels like part of why you're feeling this way is because either there are things that you haven't, that you know that you need to implement and change that you haven't. So you're doing things the old way or doing things in a way that isn't actually producing the results you want. There's like a stubbornness with the Ten of Wands here. It also feels like for some people, part of the reason that you may be stuck is that you may be waiting too long for help, or like waiting too long to make a move, or waiting too long to make a decision, or waiting too long to, have a path shown to you, and then you're kind of just subject to whatever happens. And that's part of why I feel like you feel this way, or you're in this situation in certain aspects, or a certain aspect. Okay. It also feels like it definitely has to do with growth, because we have trees in both of these cards. So there's something about things feeling stuck, or feeling like they're not growing the way that you want them to, or being I don't know, stalled in a way that's making you feel this anxiety, that's making you feel like things aren't tangible, that's making you worried about the long term. So that's kind of what I get from the energy of these two cards. Let's get a little bit more about the energy from your week using the charms. Okay, so we have our charm bowl. As you know, I'm going to shake them up. It gets a little loud. I apologize in advance. Okay. I'm going to shuffle a little bit with my hand. I'm not looking. Okay. So the charms we have are the moon, the love potion, the cat, the horse charm, a leaf, a scissor, and an alien or a skull. Okay. So there's energy of things needing to be released. You have the scissors, so there's something that you may need to cut out, something you may need to cut off, something you may need to reconfigure with the scissors. You have the scissors semi near the skeleton, so there may be a situation that's run its course, something that's over, something that's dead. It also just made me think of like beating a dead horse. So the scissors may have to do with that. So there may be things that just need to be let go this week. And we kind of talked about the habits of things that may need to be let go when we talked about the Ten of Wands. So that may be a part of the energy that we have this week. In terms of the skeletons, we may be having things come up this week from the past, whether they're past people, past situations, like a cyclical situation, something you've already dealt with that comes back up, or something that feels like something you've already dealt with. Like I said, there could be people that come back up or situations that come back up, and in relation possibly to what we talked about with the King of Coins. So that may be also why we're feeling the energy that we're feeling as of right now. You have the cat next to the love potion. I know this is not a black cat, but it reminds me of a black cat. And so this together was making me feel like if it's in your practice, you may want to do some kind of workings this week. You may want to petition or pray or do a literal working um, for good energy, to release shit, to clear your roads, to banish some shit, to bring in whatever the energy is that you're feeling you're needing right now, or to bring alignment, or to bring balance, or to like work shit out in a way that's not being worked out in the tangible for you right now. Okay. That definitely may be something that you want to bring in. The love potion could also be people dealing with like love situations, romantic situations, wanting to like spruce yourself up and go out for, finding somebody, or like if you have a date kind of situation this week, it may be a situation where you want to like make sure you smell good because you're kind of going to be in like close contact or proximity. It feels like you may like this person if that's a situation that you're hanging out with somebody or you're going on a date with somebody. And it feels like y'all might be in like close proximity to each other. So that's what I'm getting from that. Then we have the moon over here. And I feel like I said, because we have such a kind of heavy energy to the week that we had in the cards, we definitely may have a lot of emotions that we're dealing with this week. We definitely may be more emotional than we normally are this week. We may have emotions fluctuating for us this week, where we're like very high highs and very low lows kind of thing. So just something to be mindful of. And then you have this little leaf here. And so though we talked about people feeling like things they don't have what they need, or things aren't moving, or things aren't going to grow, or you're not sure, there is growth, even if it's a little bit, right? There is something here that you're doing that's working, or an idea that you have that can work, or something percolating a little bit in the background. Again, it's not a tree in the sense, right? I do have tree charm, so it's not something necessarily rooted right now. It's not something that's flourishing right now, but it is something growing. Okay, so like don't forget that energy within all of the other energy that we have this week. So this is what I'm getting for you in terms of the specific energy for this week. Let's pull some cards and see what we got going on. And I said specific energy. It is specific energy, but let's see what's going on specifically this week, like what themes we may have at play. I'm using the numerology oracle cards. For the first part of our reading, we use the Tarot of the Divine. Rebirth. You got anything else? And then on the bottom, we have personal growth. Okay, so some specific things that we're dealing with this week. We're dealing with energies of rebirth. We had the cord cutting, or excuse me, we had the scissor. So I just randomly said cord cutting. So you may want to do a cord cutting this week. That may be part of the rebirth energy that you need to like fully be yourself to be able to move on. But there is this energy of you, you know, looking different, you growing, you changing, your surroundings growing and changing, your situation growing and changing. Part of that is things needing to fall away for you to be able to move to a different place or space. Part of that looks like the pains of birth, right? Birth, similar to growing, has its own gestation period, and you have you know, your own trials and tribulations in a sense that come with moving through those phases. Okay. And so this may be part of what we're feeling this week because this is where we're being moved to. We're, you know, being reshaped and changed into something completely different. And so part of the things that we may be dealing with this week in terms of changing our habits, in terms of feeling stuck, in terms of the long-term thinking and you know, um the meditation on these things may be coming up because we are definitely going through a rebirth phase. And like I said, if it's in your practice to do work, then I would do some work around this idea of being in a rebirth, being in a new place, being a new person, being in new situations, or like being pushed to be there. And so, what kind of work you could do to help either enhance that or to you know, work with whatever is happening or to make things better or, you know, whatever it is that comes with this energy of rebirth. Okay. You then have health. And so there's some aspect of your health that comes up this week specifically. So, like I said, whether it's the habits thing that we were talking about before, forming different habits, actually implementing those new habits, eating differently, working out, changing how you enhance your mental capacity, or how you work your mental capacity. This could be something for people that is something you've been like dealing with or putting off that you with your health that you haven't been um, my brain just said taken seriously. That's not what I was going to say, but that's what I just heard in my head, that you may not be taken seriously and that you definitely need to take seriously this week. I don't know if it's that. And then I just have the chariot. I just wanted to see. So yeah, it's something that you definitely need to take seriously. It's something that you need to go get checked out. It's something that you need to look deeper into. It's like go mode this week in terms of whatever the health thing is. And not because necessarily something is going to happen, but you don't want something to happen, right? You've put this off long enough for some people. And it's time to just get it checked out. The information is the information. And then you can do from there what you can do with it. You know what I mean? But like you're doing yourself a disservice by not actually going to get yourself checked out for whatever it is that you're feeling. Okay. And my stomach just started feeling weird. So for some people, it's in your stomach. For some people, it's like mental, like I talked about before, and your mental health and having that checked out. For other people, it's like implementing certain things and removing certain things. But like now is the time to do it. Okay, now is the time to look into it. Now is the time to reconfigure. Now is the time to find your medium, you know? So that's part of what's specifically coming up this week. And then you have follow your dreams. And so, like I said, with the King of Coins card, it feels like some people are definitely feeling like you are not where you want to be, or you're not, you don't have the right footing, or you're not in the space financially that you want to be, or, you know, There are a number of different ways that that can come up, but like the follow your dreams card coming up this week means specifically there are ways or things that are going to present themselves to you that are going to ask you which you want, right? Like, do you want to keep with the status quo, or do you want to start moving towards what your actual dreams would look like, or what doing something fulfilling would actually look like? Okay. For other people, and or I should say, there's this idea of like not actually knowing what that looks like in this, what will be a new iteration of you, what will be a new person, right? And so you need to sit this week and figure out what not only that looks like with financial stability, but like actually following your dreams, right? Because some people, moving in the money, or moving for money, or moving, in terms of the bag, or what you have to do in terms of your responsibilities, is what leads you. And that has nothing to do with following your dreams. And that's part of the hindrance that you're feeling and why you're feeling stuck. Okay. So if you had to do it differently, which you are being asked to do now, what does following your dreams look like? And like really figuring that out this week, and ways to implement that without considering the financial, without putting that in play, just considering what does it look like to actually do things that are fulfilling. What would it look like if I followed my dreams? What does that shape into? You know what I mean? That looks like I'm here, that looks like I'm there, that looks like I'm doing this, that looks like I'm with this one. Like literally, like writing it down, you know what I mean? Making it real tangible for you. Okay. That's part of the energy this week. And then all of this is a byproduct, or an effect, like a cause, excuse me, of the personal growth that you have here, right? This feels like this is going to be definitely a week of personal growth for you. It could be because of trying times, right? It could be because there are things asking you and calling on you, and you see the change coming. It could be because you're actionably moving and doing the things you need to do for your health, or to follow your dreams, but like all of these things in terms of specific things that are happening this week are definitely related to, and stem from, your personal growth. Okay. And that being like a major aspect of what you got going on right now, and what you will continue to have going on in the weeks to come. Okay. So I'm going to pull a few more cards just to see if there's anything to watch out for this week. Oh, I'm not getting anything. All right, cool. So let's end your reading, pile two, with some words of wisdom. Okay, so your words of wisdom is actually the first card that was on top of your pile. You have fourth chakra, heart chakra, unconditional love. I allow myself to be open to giving and receiving love without fear of rejection. I give without expecting recognition or acknowledgement in return. When I am loving to others, I am helping bring out the innate love within them so they also feel uplifted, worthy, and cared for. I love myself the way I am, not the way I was or could be, and I extend this love to others. I teach others how to love and respect me by how I love and respect myself. And these are your words of wisdom, pile two. And this was your reading for this week. So thank you so much, y'all, for reading with me. I appreciate y'all so much. If you'd like your own personal reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. If you aren't already subscribed to the YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you haven't listened to our monthly collective reading, or you aren't subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to Tiny Musings with T on Substack, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And follow me at Tiny Divinations on TikTok and on Instagram. Thank y'all again so much for reading with me. I hope this reading makes sense. Let me know how this week is for you. If you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in your next reading. Welcome in pile one. Uh, Holy shit, my bad. Welcome in pile three. Let's get into your reading. So, the cards you have for the energy of your week are the Four of Wands, and the clarifier is the Four of Coins. The first thing that I thought of when I saw these two cards is these are two very different relationships, okay? When you have the Tarot of the Divine, they have fairy tales attached to each card. And so I just happen to know offhand the the story related to both of these. And in this situation, this husband was a more overbearing, um, greedy, like abusive situation, right? In this situation, the person kind of sacrificed themselves for the higher good. And as a result of, they, wanted to find love before they made that major sacrifice. And there was a god that turned himself into a woman, and they had a relationship, and it was a very selfless thing for both of them to do, in a sense. So you have like very opposite ends of the spectrum, okay? And so the first thing I thought about the energy of your week is that like you're removing yourself from situations that don't serve you, or you have removed yourself from a situation that doesn't serve you, and you are feeling more confident or successful or um like abundant because of, or you've received a reward, like you've let this go and now you can see the reward of letting the situation go. It's funny because it's very similar to pile one, so if you were looking at pile one, you may want to watch pile one as well. But there's definitely this energy of like, um removing myself from situations and circumstances that don't serve me, or that are overbearing, or that are taking too much from me, and moving into situations where I actually feel very rewarded and stable and what's the word I'm looking for? Gratitude and care. It just feels like we've moved from this to this. And so there's this energy this week of being able to celebrate, being able to sit in like the lessons that you've learned, being able to look around and see, what has actually changed, and what you've like the boundaries or the things you've put in place, and how they've worked out for you. You know what I mean? Like it feels like successful, it feels happy, it feels nurturing, it feels like we're in good relations with the people around us. It feels like we've kind of like removed the people who are taking from us, or the situations that are taking from us, or we're removing the situations that are taken from us, and we're being able to like recognize and celebrate um what can be when you release these things, or when you move away from these things, or what can be when you remove away from this like perspective or this energy. You know what I mean? And it feels like I said, that there are just like tangible rewards from that. You see actionable things happen this week that are moving in your favor. It feels good, it looks good, so that's what I'm getting from these two cards. So let's pull some charms and see what other energies are at play for your week. Okay, so we have our charm bowl. I am going to shuffle, or excuse me, let's do that again. Okay, so we have our charm bowl. I am going to shake. I apologize, that is a little loud. Okay. I'm going to not look. I'm shuffling a little bit more, and then I'm going to pull some things for this week. Okay. The charms we have are the troll, a watermelon slice, the passport charm, the chariot charm, and on the back of the chariot charm is the other mother from Coraline, just stuck to the card. So let's start with the chariot and the passport. So we have movement, right? This week, the energy of this week, There's travel, there's movement, there's action, there's things happening. We had that in the Four Wands. Wands is a card of action and movement. Okay. And so it definitely feels like you'll see that this week, whether that's within you actually traveling, because we have the Chariot and the Passport. So you actually traveling somewhere, you looking into travel somewhere, you booking your travel for something this week, could also be a thing. It could be that things are in movement for you this week, like things are actually moving in terms of things that you have going on or things that you put in place to, start to generate something. It could be that you have a lot to do this week as well, or you feel like you're just like constantly in movement, that could be part of it. But there's definitely this energy of like movement, action, um, like uh, it requiring you to like be, in one place and another place kind of thing is what it feels like. You then have the watermelon. And the first thing I thought of with the watermelon was protection. Okay. And we even talked about here how you kind of removing these situations. But I feel like number one, you are protected. You've been being protected. You're protecting yourself, especially those of you that are recognizing and moving yourselves out of situations where you're being taken advantage of, or where somebody's taken too much from you, or a situation is taken too much from you, or it's just like not exactly the freedom or the comfort that you want to feel, more so like in terms of your stability, in terms of what you have, in terms of what you're doing. Okay. And it feels like you're being protected from these situations, you're protecting yourself from these situations. And the watermelon slice also made me feel like being particular. Okay. Like part of how you are being protected and you're protecting yourself is by being particular this week in like what you do and what you say, because we have a lot going on with a lot of action. Like be very particular with your yeses and your nos. Okay. They're all just as important. And so like use them, sparingly, or use them, have them be justified in a sense. Okay. Have your yeses and your nos be justified to you, not to anybody else but you. Okay. And then you have the troll. And like I said, if you were thinking about pile one, look at pile one, because we had the troll in pile one. But there's part of it for me this week that is related to, with the troll, it's related to like this freeness, this like untamed energy, this wild energy, this like fun kind of almost trickster energy. And so that could be coming up within part of what you should bring into it. Like you may need to bring in fun energy, especially if you have a lot going on, or you've been in a very protective space. You may need to bring in this wild and untamed energy of just like embodying yourself and what you want to do and how you want to be and what you want to say and things like that. And or it may be like the trickster energy that you need to just be mindful of. Oh, all right, that you just need to be mindful and protective of, right? And if you can recognize it, maybe move away from it. And again, I feel like part of the reason why things are also working out for you, like I said before, is because you've removed this. And I'm just further fortified by this, by the other mother being on the back of the card, because like it's like you're moving forward, or you're trying to move forward, but there's this energy that either wants to hold you back or was trying to stop you from moving forward. And part of it needs to be removed. It needs to be unstuck. And even the fact that this was stuck to this, and in this card, he's like hovering around her. Okay. So there's something that is blocking, either had blocked you from getting to this, or is still semi blocking you from getting to this energy that you need to remove, eradicate, separate yourself from. Okay. So that is what I'm getting from your charms and your cards for the energy of your week. Let's get into some specific things that may happen this week. So we are using the numerology oracle cards. The first cards that we used were actually the Tarot of the Divine cards, for anybody interested in the decks. Let's get some specific things that may happen for pile three's week. Okay. Adventure, completion, creativity. Right. Okay. So this is kind of self-explanatory. I feel like we already kind of talked about things that are here. Let me get some clarifiers to see if we can get a little bit more specific. Okay, so starting with completion, and this actually came out first. So I think we're putting an end to people taking advantage of you. I think we're putting an end to people hurting you, people putting you in circumstances that you don't want to be put in, people like kind of caging you in a way or constraining you. And again, I keep saying people, and I shouldn't just say people, situations, mindsets, perspectives, things like that. I definitely think for some people it definitely is people, persons, and it may be relational, especially romantic relationship. You may have realized you were with somebody who's manipulative or a liar or isn't exactly who the fuck they said they were, or is not as nurturing or caring as they seem, or something like that. And again, whatever the situation is, it feels like, again, we have the justice card in the middle. It feels like it's just done. It's like, I'm tired of being treated this way. I'm tired of dealing with this. I'm tired of feeling this way. Whatever it is that makes you want to just cut the shit. But the justice card is what allows you to cut the shit. You know what I mean? In pile one, we talked a lot about cord cuttings or doing work. And so this may be something that's in your practice to do. And you may want to, do some kind of banishing, cord cutting, release kind of work. And so that may be something that you want to do this week to help with this completion and ending energy, right? But it already shows here that this is kind of what's happening. It's definitely something ending, shifting, being released, being removed, you know, moved moving to a different phase. Moving on into adventure, I'm going to use the card that we have on the bottom. It looks like with the 3 of Wands and the adventure, it looks like moving on to the adventure card, let's get a clarifier. I mean, I already talked about you needing to kind of feel free, be out, um, do things that are different than what you normally do things that are maybe outside of your character. Um, we have the Knight of Wands and the Ace of Wands. So more Wands energy, do. It feels like you need to do, you know what I mean? But like, again, there's this energy of being free. There's this energy of being creative with whatever the adventure is. There's this energy of like, whatever you do, lighting a fire under your ass, it helping you to move to a different space and place. And again, that feels like mentally or emotionally. There's a way in which you need to like let loose. There's part of you that already feels that way, but you don't do it enough, or you don't free it enough, or you don't embody it enough. And there's a way in which you need to embody it, and that's why you're getting this adventure card this week. Like, there's room for you to have adventures this week. There's room for you to add in some spark and add in some um, something exciting or something fun or something that, like I said, it just looks different than what you would normally do, something that's creative, something that helps you spark something inside of you. And so that's part of why you get the adventure card this week. I feel like um, you have the adventures come up this week because you have the opportunity. Certain things you can look at as an adventure, certain things could be seen as like obstacles, but you could see it as an adventure or a journey, you know what I mean? But like part of that is how you get creative with it. But again, another part of the adventure that comes up this week is coming up because you need to like let loose, and you need to feel some freedom and some shifting and movement within your soul. Okay, so lean into this adventure energy. And then we have the creativity again. We have the creativity in the Ace of Wands. So just a quick clarifier for that. What are we getting creative about this week? You have the Four of Cups. Okay. So with the creativity and the Four of Cups, I feel like this week we're getting creative about where we give our attention. We're getting creative about what we pay attention to. We're getting creative about where we're putting our awareness and what we are like literally looking at in some instances. I feel like some people may be like social media detoxing, or you're getting off of certain apps, or you're like limiting your TV time, or you're like adding in more books or adding in more hobbies or things you want to do, but like things that are creative that take you out of like what do you call that shit when you're like an endless scroll, you know what I mean? Like the Four of Cups in the story, he um has the most beautiful bird, and he gets bored with it, and then starts to covet these golden birds instead of the real thing. And so there's something about the creativity that's like there, there's something this week that's bringing you back into back into authenticity with something that you do or something that you feel or some aspect of your creativity, and you're like you're leaving the fake or realizing the fake or recognizing where you are giving too much energy to something that like doesn't matter or isn't bringing like doesn't enhance what you do or doesn't enhance you as a person or something like that, like um or where you're doing something that's like not authentic to how you want to do it, or how you feel or something in terms of your creativity. So I feel like that's how that comes up this week. And I would love for somebody to tell me, explain to me what that means. Like for you specifically. That would be very cool. Let me pull a few more cards just to see if there's anything that we need to watch out for this week. We have the Fashion Witch and the Influencer. So it's funny because it almost combines the messages from pile one and two into these two cards. So, like, beware of people posturing this week. Beware of people who do shit for likes, even if it's like in real life, like they do it for laughs or they do it for likes or they, do it for a bit or something, and they will make you the butt of the bit or part of the bit or some shit like that. Beware of people who are fake. Both these cards give fake energy, people who aren't really who they say they are, people who are just doing shit for optics. um be mindful of you looking like somebody that is doing that if it can go that way. Be mindful of, like I said, in pile two, I think, doing shit for the bag, just doing something for money or for to get something out of it that either is not aligned with you or isn't what you really want to do or isn't actually a good look. Okay, so these are the things that kind of come up. But this is so random, but if you're buying a crystal this week, be mindful that some crystals are glass and some crystals are colored, and just make sure you have a reputable person. Or in general, if you're buying spiritual products and you see this and you've been thinking about buying spiritual products, you just started following somebody specifically that you found and it was this week, pay attention to this person. They may not be exactly who you think they are. They may not represent who, they may not represent what they actually say they do or something like that. Like, this is just given like real fake energy. So just be mindful of fake people, fake things you see. Also in pile one, I talked about like AI shit and AI videos, and being mindful of like everything you see on the internet is not exactly real. So like bear that in mind in this pile with like people specifically, it feels like, okay, with like specific people, okay, or specific media organizations. Okay, so let's end your reading with your words of wisdom for the week. So, your words of wisdom for the week was actually the card on the top of your pile. We have seventh chakra, crown chakra, one with all. I feel the divine force flowing through me. I honor this, and I know that it flows through all. I am calm in knowing that I am one with all, and I contemplate and meditate on this fact. I regularly remind myself that we are all from the same source and that we are all on a journey as spiritual beings experiencing this physical existence. I am aware that I have a choice as to how I respond to what is happening in my life. My responses have an enormous effect on my spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical well being. And this was your reading for the week, pile three. So thank you so much for reading with me. If you'd like your own reading, book with me at wildheartbotanica.com. I would love to read with you. If you aren't already subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't already listen to or aren't already subscribed to the podcast, Tiny Musings with T, to listen to our monthly collective reading and all our other shows, subscribe on on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also listen to the show on Substack and get our other Substack posts. And if you're not already following me, please follow me on TikTok, on Instagram at Tiny Divination. So thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate y'all reading with me. And if you have another pile, I will see you there. If not, I will see you in our next reading.